So today's video will be looking at how to convert between different units of measurement. And so specifically, we will be looking at how to convert between different units of length. So if you look at the top here, these are our common units of length. So we start off with the millimeters. So the millimeters are the smallest unit of length. They are usually used to measure something small, such as the tip of your pencil or the size of an ant. Next, we have centimeters. So centimeters are also a small unit of length. Again, they can be used to measure something small, such as the size of your pencil. Next, we have meters. So meters are our base unit. They can be used to measure something a little bigger, such as the length of your classroom or the size of your car. And lastly, we have our kilometers, which is the biggest unit of length. And this can be used to measure longer distances, such as traveling by vehicle to another city or traveling by plane to another destination. So if you look over here, you can see the conversions between our common units of length. So if you look closely at a ruler, you will see that there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. If you look at a meter stick, you will see that there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. And if you look on something bigger, such as a map, you will see that there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So we can use this conversion chart here to help us in converting between different units of length. So we start off here with our millimeters. So if I'm going from my millimeters to my centimeters, I would divide by 10. Centimeters to meters, I would divide by 100. And from meters to kilometers, I would divide by 1,000. And the reason why I would divide is because I'm going from a smaller unit of a measurement to a bigger unit of measurement. And so my number would decrease in size. And so if I'm going the opposite direction, so from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller unit of measurement, I would multiply because my number would be getting bigger. So from kilometers to meters, I would times it by 1,000. From meters to centimeters, I would times it by 100. And from centimeters to millimeters, I would times it by 10. And again, these numbers come from our conversions up here. So you can see the 10 here, the 100 comes from here, and the 1,000 comes from here. So we can use the same conversion chart here to convert between other different units of measurement, such as converting between units of mass and converting between units of volume. So here we look at our common units of mass. So our smallest unit is milligrams. So there are 10 milligrams in 1 centigram. There are 100 centigrams in 1 gram. And again, a gram is our base unit. And there's 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. And if you look at our units of volume, again, our smallest unit is milliliters. So there are 10 milliliters in 1 centiliter. There is 100 centiliters in a liter. And again, a liter is our base unit. And there is 1,000 liters in 1 kiloliter. And again, to convert between these units, the same rules would apply. So if I'm going from a smaller unit of measurement, so from milligrams to centigrams, I would divide by 10. From centigrams to grams, I would divide by 100. From grams to kilograms, I would divide by 1,000. Again, we're dividing because our number would be getting smaller. And again, if we're going the opposite way from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller unit of measurement, we would do the inverse operation. So for volume, we would go from kiloliters to liters, and for that I would times by 1,000. From liters to centiliters, I would times by 100. And from centiliters to milliliters, I would times it by 10. Okay, so let's do an example. So in our first example, we want to convert 7.9 meters into centimeters. So again, if I look at my conversion chart over here, I want to go from meters to centimeters, and to go from meters to centimeters, I would times by 100, so my number would get bigger. So one way of doing this would be to simply go ahead and multiply. So we can do 100 times 7.9, and I would go ahead and multiply. So 9 times 0 is 0, 9 times 0 again is 0, 9 times 1 is 9. Now we'll put an x or a 0 here. 7 times 0 is a 0, 7 times 0 is a 0, and 7 times 1 is 7, and I would know how I would have to add these together. So if I go ahead and add 0, 0, 9 plus 0 is 9, and 7. So if I look back at my number here, I know there is one number to the right of my decimal point, so I need to include that in my final answer. So I would have one number to the right of my decimal point, which would be right here. So my answer would be 790 centimeters. Okay, so another way of converting this would be again to look at your conversion chart. So again, we're going from meters to centimeters, and I know I have to times by 100. So if I look at my 100, how many zeros do I see? So I see 2 zeros. So if I have my number, which is 7.9, I'm going to move my decimal spot 2 spaces to the right because I have 2 zeros. So it's going to move 1 and 2. For each of those spaces, I'm going to add a 0. So my answer, again, would be the same. It would be 790 centimeters. So if we were to convert 7.9 meters into centimeters, our answer would be 790 centimeters. Okay, so we did do an example together. So here is your first task. So in this task, I want you to convert 333 millimeters into meters. So go ahead and pause. Okay, and welcome back. So again, there's two ways of converting 333 millimeters into meters. So again, we're going to look at a conversion chart over here. So I know I'm going from millimeters to meters. So to go from millimeters to meters, I would know I would have to divide because my number would be getting smaller. So I would go from millimeters to first centimeters. I know I had to divide by 10. Centimeters to meters, I would know I would have to divide by 100. So instead of doing those two steps, if I look at both my numbers, I know I had to divide by 10 and by 100. So if I multiply those together, 10 times 100 equals 1,000. So I know I can go ahead and just divide this by 1,000. So here we can do our long division. So we are going to divide 333 by 1,000. Okay, so I'm going to look into my number here. So how many times can 1,000 go into 3? It cannot go into 3, so again, at the top I put a 0 or an X. Can 1,000 go into 33? No, it cannot. Can it go into 333? No, it cannot again. So I'm going to add a 0 at the end of this. And since I'm adding a 0, I would put a decimal spot right here. So now I'm going to look into how many times can 1,000 go into 3,330. It can go into that 3 times. So 3 times 1,000 equals, 1,000 equals 3,000. So I would go ahead and subtract. So 0, 3, subtract 0 is 3. Again, that's 3. So I am left over with 330. But I still have a remainder, so I want to solve until I don't have a remainder. So again, I'm going to add another 0. I'm going to bring that 0 down. Now I'm going to look into how many times can 1,000 go into 3,300. So again, it can go into it 3 times. So 3 times 1,000 equals 3,000. Again, I'm going to subtract that. So 0, 0, 3 times 0, 3 subtract 0 is 3, and 3 subtract 3 is 0. So again, I am left with 300, and I don't want a remainder. So I'm going to add another 0. I'm going to bring that down, and now I have a number of 3,000. So how many times can 1,000 go into 3,000? It can go into 3,000 exactly 3 times. So 3 times 1,000 equals 3,000. And then I would subtract, and I am left with 0. So if I were to convert 333 millimeters into meters, my answer would be 0.333 meters. Okay, and so another way of doing this, which we'll do on this side. So again, I'm looking at my conversion chart, and I know I have to go from millimeters to meters. So if I look at, I would have to divide by 10 and then divide by 100. So I'm going to look at how many zeros do I have in my 10 and my 100. So I have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I'm going to write down my number. So my number is 333 milliliters. And my decimal spot, which is at the end, is going to move over towards the left 3 times because I have 3 zeros and because my number is getting smaller. So if I go ahead and move that, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and there we end. So if I count the spots, I know my conversion would be 0.333 meters. Again, we get the same answer either way. So if you do it this way or if you do it this way, we get the same answer. Okay, so here is your next task. So task number 2. So Jessica went hiking and walked a total of 2.9 kilometers. She wants to know how much she walked in meters. So I would like you to try this by yourself, and then we will come back. So go ahead and pause. And welcome back. Okay, so again, there's 2 ways we could have done this. The first way, so if you look back at our conversion chart here, I'm going from kilometers to meters. So if I look at my chart, I know that I have to times my number by 1,000, and therefore my number will be getting bigger. So one way of doing this would be to multiply this by 1,000. So 1,000 times 2.9. So again, I do my multiplication. So 9 times 0 is 0, 0 again. 9 times 1 is 9. I'm going to put an extra 0 here. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0 again. And 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and add these together. So 0 would be here. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0, 9, and 2. Again, if I go look at my number, I know that there is one number to the right of the decimal point. So I would have to put my decimal point one number to the right of here. So my decimal would go right over there. So therefore, I would know that Jessica walked a total of 2,900 meters. Okay, and another way of doing this would be, again, to look at your conversion chart. So again, I know I'm going from kilometers to meters, and I would times this by 1,000. So if I look at my 1,000, how many zeros do I have? I have 3 zeros. So I would write my number down. So 2.9. And I would know that my decimal spot would move towards the right, and it would move 3 spaces because my number is getting bigger. So if I go ahead and move the decimal spot, so 1, 2, 3, and I know I can put in a 0 for each of the spaces I moved. So I put in a 0 and a 0. Therefore, my answer would be 2,900 meters. And again, we get the same answer for both, either way. Okay, so here is your last task that I will leave with you for homework. So the question is, how many grams are in one serving if 1.5 kilograms will serve 6 people? And for this question, you may have to do multiple steps. We will come and look at the question in class tomorrow. So again, use your resources, use the conversion chart to help you out, and we will take this up in class tomorrow. Thank you.